Good morning, wonderful young people. Today's topics are twofold. First, just a quick discussion about turning stuff in, how I would prefer that to be done. And then, second, let's cover conservatism, a challenging term because what it means today is something different than what it meant in the 19th century. So, first, turning stuff in. Let's go to an assignment, doesn't necessarily matter which one. When there's a Google Doc embedded, you get to work on that Google Doc as you see fit. And typically that's really all you need to do. Just upload the document and that's it. If your Google tools aren't working, here's the key. Sometimes mine don't work. Here's the key. You have the questions, you have the topic. Like if you think about this matrix, there's content that you need to find, and in this case, you're to put it into a chart. But what I'm concerned with, or what I'm interested in, is the content. So if you're having trouble with your Google tools and it's not uploading, or you're having some other problem, simply copy the text, copy it, and paste it into the assignment box. So on the right-hand side over on your screen, when you go to an assignment, you'll see a submission, click it, paste the content into the submission box, and submit it that way. I can still grade it efficiently, and it's an easy way for you to turn it in. That means you could work on it on a Word doc, you could work on it on a Google Doc. I don't necessarily care. I'm most concerned about the content. Whether you dial it up or not doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, it's, do you have the content and do you understand it? Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing today is this topic of conservatism. So what conservatism means today and what conservatism meant in the middle of the 19th century are different. So conservatism in the middle of the 19th century was a defense of the old order. It was a defense, mostly in Europe, of monarchical governments that were absolute. And their rule was based upon the divine right theory, the belief that God ordained certain families to rule. And in the case of Europe, that meant the Bourbons in France or the Hohenzollerns in Prussia, or the Habsburgs in Austria, the Romanovs in Russia. It meant that they ruled based upon God's order, God's rule, God's decision. And for a number of hundreds of years, nobody really questioned it. But as populations became more educated, and as people began to earn money outside of the system, meaning they weren't part of the landed aristocracy, meaning they weren't born noble, as people made money because of inventions that they made industrially, because of factories that they owned, they believed that they deserved to have more of a say. So that was a challenge to the old order. 19th century conservatives found support in the monarchical system. The families that were supposed to rule obviously were going to defend it. Those that benefited from the system, that owned land or were given land rights because of birthright, also supported the old order. And typically in a country like France, so did the Catholic Church. So one way that populations were mobilized or would continue to support monarchies even if it went against their best interests, was because they were hearing on Sundays in church that they had to, or their chances of going to heaven weren't very good. So 19th century conservatism was an attempt to maintain the old order, the idea of the divine right theory. And that is exactly what they were trying to defend as all of these other things were happening to really challenge permanently that system.